More on the Flemings. Okay, this is John Anthony Craven. That is Sir John Craven of Deutsche Bank fame. We've talked about him before. Look at his lists: the National Life Story Collection, British American Tobacco, UK Pension Fund Trustees, Thomson Reuters Group, that is the Thomson twins and the Reuters that are owned by the Rothschilds for all of European history. They started with the Thorn and Taxis Company and the Yellow Cabs. It is ancient. Raiserves 1995 in brackets Limited, Reuters Holdings Limited, Robert Fleming Holdings Limited, Ian Fleming Publications Limited, that is the one with the 42 Ponzi schemes that I cannot now find, Deutsche Morgan Grenfell Group Public Limited, C ... not enough room to reveal all of the Deutsche Bank secrets, LinkedIn to the JP Morgan secrets, the Grenfells, and to the Monterey region where all of these people thrive in league with the Devil's Advocate movie. Amref Health in Africa. I've told you all about Africa never getting health unless it's off Angloag's tax breaks, mercy ships for the elite medics sector. Yet only the junta leaders and the tin pot dictators get the health care from that. National Institute of Economic and Social Research, Risex PLC, Patagonia Gold PLC, which I've talked to Gordon Bowden about, and that is just a virtual products fraud. Deutsche Bank, Aktiengesellschaft, my German is not strong. The Royal Marsden Cancer Charity, my wife's German was strong, I don't know how she got that. She did not qualify for university, or she did not have enough funds, because she's given up her life to be poor in all of these sectors. Fleming Family and Partners Limited, DB UK Bank Limited, the Financial Conduct Authority, and finally, and quite tragically for the brutalised African world, Lonmin Public Limited Company, all the way through from 1998 to 2009, just after many of the banks had been crashed by people like John Anthony Craven. Okay, let's go back and see how I found him. This is a list of Ian Fleming publications, and he's on the bottom of it. This is still not the one with the Ponzi scams under the Fleming Family FFP moniker that I told you about earlier. But this is another list of directors with a lot of the similar names. I'm quite stunned that the Roxburghs and the Balfours are rolled into one, and that does not have the Kerr name in it anywhere. Okay, I'll have a wee look at what else Christopher Roxburgh Balfour does in a few seconds, but this is riddled with Flemings. Okay, read Fergus Herman Robert Fleming, Adam Richard Fleming, oh, Pritchards, our mates that were defrauded in the franchise making sandwiches, very close to the Rothschild Empire, all the way up to the south side of Birmingham, right up the Icknield Way. Matthew Valentine Fleming, Mr. Nicholas Val Peter Fleming, Mr. Roderick John Fleming. Oh, a Blewett. I think there's a Blewett in the Dad's Army jokes. Another Grimmond, Watkins, and then you've got Sir John from the Deutsche Bank. Okay, let's see how we found them. This is Ian Fleming Publications, Another address in London, registered address 10 to 11 Lower John Street, London, W1F9EB, and I think that's as far back as we can go. But there's a list of Fleming companies all in London. Oh no, some of them are in Farnborough, where there's an airfield which could be really handy if you're a profiteer in wartime, and you fly people out of the River Spree region into Operation Winnie the Pooh and all over the fascist world. Okay, Ian C. Fleming, the C Word Consultancy and Training Limited, Farnborough, near the airport, Hampshire, GU 146HD. Oh, they do some mundane welding in the riveting place that is Glasgow. Ian Fleming and Associates Limited, Sidcup, Kent. I think Sidcup is the place in the P.G. Wodehouse comedies that the fascist resides. I forget what, I think his name is Snowed, and he is just a parody of the people that led the Oswald Mosley people that led the BNP in the lead up to World War II. It is tragic that they laugh about everything they do, and I cannot find loads of Flemings. Yeah, loads of Flemings. I cannot find the one with the Fleming family partnerships that was running the 42 ponzis. I could look at the history of what I've looked at. And see if I can find it there. There's the Investor 1 LLP. That's with the associated with the label 2003. Investor 1 LLP. I can't see. Let's have a wee look at. The one shelf. Let's see what happens if I try and type in something else. No, that has not worked. Okay, I will take it back. So that's the links to the interlocks with the Fleming Greens from the sites that Gordon Bowden told us about. This is the Andrew Fleming Green that Gordon claims is Ian Fleming and who is out in the tax havens. but he's got several registered companies in the UK, and there they be. St George's Square Limited, 89 to 91 St George's Square Limited, all run by Instant Companies and Swift. Migration Watch UK, isn't that ironic that a man who steals from the world and creates pogroms all over the world is involved in watching for border control issues in the UK? I doubt that he lives here for very much of our calendar year. Yeah, there we go. Lady Catherine Jane Green, Sir Andrew Fleming Green running the show. There's the British Syrian Society that we've told you all about already, and there's the previous directors that include Lord David Steele of Akewood, Chihabi, and a couple of other knights at the bottom. Sir Andrew Fleming Green, Sir David Alwyn Gore Booth, Sir Gavin Farr Arthur, Thomas Egger secretaries. Look at their record. That's a German company that trades out of Northumberland as well as Glasgow and many other European subsidiaries, and in the UK Business Register they have crashed 324 of the 567 companies they've run. My wife used to work for them. Christian solidarity. Yeah, isn't it tragic that the bimbos that are the ordinary people that pay the taxes and attend the churches are being robbed blind by totally immoral people? Christianity Solidarity International resigned since the 19th of the 3rd 2014 when they realised that Calpurnius Piso was correct when he stated that the plot and the encoding of the fraud that is the New Testament would be revealed at some day in the long-term future of Christianity. The day has come. It is tumbling now. All of these massive frauds are associated with profiteers in genocide and martyrdom. And look at that, we've got doctors all the way to the bank. Dr. Peter Wagday Mikhail Bibawi. Mikhail is the Jewish angel, and the wee boy aged 2 who went missing from his bedroom in the House of Shaws region where J.K. Rowling lives, and that is the cover for the Balfour homes. The Balfours are linked in these directories to the Roxburghs. It is just amazing. Lord John George Powys, Mr. Andrew John Reed, 13 companies there. Peels, that's the Peels that are the Freemasons, that are the Peelers of London, that are involved with the Walter Scott Foundation and the culling of the returning troops. Sutherlands, Heimers, Aitkins. There's Caroline Baroness Cox of Queensberry. I do not know whether that is Brian the actor's wife or not. She's crashed all 12 of our companies since we get investigative journalists. Oh no, this is way before my time in this sector. This is when I was wasting my life on molecular neuroscience and toxicology of the brain and the nerve gas issues. It is amazing. Sir Andrew Fleming Green, the Right Reverend Thomas Richard Hare, Zachariah Patnick, Stuckelbergers. Yeah, this is the religious sector. Reverend Stuart Rodney Windsor, that's the Queen's alias. Reverend Thomas John Green, Reverend Mr. Simon Francis Benjamin George. Oh, look at that, isn't it compassionate? medical aid for the Palestinians, directly linked to the Bond criminal Andrew Fleming Green. Medical aid for Palestinians. Dr. Jean Josephine Boyer Brown, Dr. John Patrick Beavis, Dr. Phyllis Margaret Starkey, some ordinary Misters, ordinary Joes, Mr. Johnny Riske, Mr. Leith Munib Rashid Masri, Mr. Peter Anthony Coleridge's, weren't they famous authors too? Mr. Stephen Malcolm James, Miss Randa Kayat, Miss Shiham Bortkosh, Professor Graham Watt, Sir Terence Alexander English. That's another Johnny English joke in their ever so sad sense of humour. And we've got a secretary who's appointed in 1995 with 91 companies in his thrall, David Charles Freeman. Okay, previous directors. Let's just see if there's any sensations. Oh, Dr. Rafiq Husseini. Mr. Anthony Lawrence Jeffrey Peel, 2002, when Rifkind was the Foreign Secretary, all the way through to 2012. What was the name of this company again? Medical Aid for Palestinians. Isn't that convenient that the Flemings run it, and that we've got links all the way back to the Peels for all of that period, right up to 2012, when we brutalised the Holy Land and my wife left my bedroom because I'm guilty of revealing these indecent behaviours. And that is the basis for the whole of my divorce proceedings. The companies that she's worked for are all over these listings, and all of it is coming out. I do not blame my wife. While I was earning a salary, she was content to live with me decently. When she realises that I'm uncovering the frauds of the people that have trained her to be with me, then she leaves me, and all of the things that I have done are entirely decent, and they're quite brave in the light of the number of people that these bastards have killed over their lifetimes. Okay, that's in the religious sector as well as in the profiteering in wartime sector. Medical aid for Palestinians, previous directors. Trebles, cuttings, Mackays, law enforcement specialists, Miss Runa Blythe Mackay. That could be the Mackay of Clash Fern dynasty, and she's right next door to the man that Gordon Bowden told me is Ian Fleming himself, Sir Andrew Fleming Green. Yeah, and he's been on the board of this Palestinian fraud between 2002 and 2005. Booth was on it right up to 2004, when Blair swept into Iraq with George W. Bush in tow and all of NATO's forces. Sir John Moberly, Right Honourable the Lord Ian Hedworth John Little Gilmore, Yusuf Abu Qadra, they will run the transitional regimes, and all of them have been brutalised again for the third time in a decade this very year. Sorry, at the really tail end of 2014. Previous Secretary Anakla. Okay, we're down. So there's the Fleming companies. It is sick. Medical Aid for Palestinians, Christian Solidarity International, British Syrian Society Limited, Migration Watch from the tax havens, St George's Square Limited. Right then, I still cannot find the FFP ponzis. Because the first time I hit FFP, it came up with Fleming family partnerships. I'm gonna have to go back to the history to find that, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to. There's the one that crashed when I tried to get all of the FFPs up together. So that could be round about the right time. Sorry, this is wasting your time and mine. There's FF&P 2003 Investor 1 LLP, and that is very close to the long list of 42 Ponzi shells. Let's have a look at that one. Fergus Herman, Robert Fleming, Ian Fleming, just the one, and that linked to the one shelf. Let's have a look at the history again. Here we go. Right then, so they're not actually companies, they're director listings. Okay, and it is scandalous. Okay, FF&P 2004 Investor 18 LLP, FF&P 2005 Investor 33 LLP. There you get 2005 Investor 29 LLP, implying that for each year there may be over 40 shelves in each one of the companies. It is amazing, and this is the Fleming family partnerships, and it is just out and out greed. Registered address, short name FF&P Partnership Services Limited, year of birth unknown, because they're not people, they're actually Ponzi shells. Registered address 19 Perth Street, Edinburgh, EH3 5DW. I don't know which part of Edinburgh that is. 1 appointments at 1 active companies, 3 resigned appointments, 20 appointments at 20 dissolved companies. Okay, and there we've got below the actual graphs of what has happened between 2005 and 2015. You've got what should be directors. Yeah, that's the company director listing, but what we've got are limited liability partnerships. And I could click on any one of them and see what we can find. but there are at least 42. Can you see that? FF&P 2007 investor 42 LLP. So for each year there may be up to 42 of those, and randomly they're assigned different addresses in different part of our country and potentially all around the world. If we were to click on number 41, which was registered in 2007 and is still live, we might be able to see where it launders to. That is linked to London. So you've got the Edinburgh link under the Black Rock, and that vicious Royal Mile that we talked about in all of the frauds that I visited when I tried to visit Nicola Sturgeon to accuse her of treason and to confront them with the Trident scandal and the use of mercenary army leaders in Sub-Saharan Africa, and the deployment of Arnold Manderson to make sure that Scotland lost its quest for independence on behalf of the Crown and the Crown Office and its law courts and all of the law enforcement frauds and everything that they have done to steal our country and to keep it in the hands of profiteers like the Flemings. And I told you about the likeness of the singer Renee Fleming to the woman who claimed she was actually the woman called Manderson that runs Arnold Manderson, as a joke about the killing of Moira Anderson and about the persecution of the man who, that's me, who could have freed Scotland. Yeah, it tied into the wartime profiteers now, okay, and a massive ponzi. And it is just amazingly sick and twisted. Let's see what we find when we look at the... We're now looking at a Ponzi shelf which is listed as a director. Let's see if it's actually got any directors. Members. Pension funds. Members. Oh shit, there are other tiers. So down below the Ponzi shelf, run by Fleming Family Partners or Fleming Family Publications, whatever F and F and P stands for, you now have a series of other director listings, and they are also companies. Isn't it shitty? Eli House Partnership Services Limited, FF&P Partnership Services Limited, Republic Nominees Limited. We're in a constitutional monarchy, and somewhere else they are funding or stealing from a Republic Nominees Limited A/C 2732. This time there are almost 3,000 Ponzi shelves. Isn't that creative for the literary sector who invented The Spy and make all of the romantic movies about stealing the citizens' gold into Fort Knox in the Goldfinger movie, and women who are glamorous with their tits out all over the beaches that they steal from other people's countries? Okay, republics. Isn't that really, really romantic that we could be helping people who are republics like America, who don't need monarchies, because our monarchy still runs their plantation. Yeah, the New York State is a plantation, and that is the joke about go west, young man, and allow yourselves to have a democracy. It is not a democracy. It is now owned by Zion, and it was passed on to them in 2012 when we changed the laws of succession in the UK and all across the Commonwealth. Look at it, it's obscene. The previous members are Ponzi shelves 2732, 2733, 2862, 2866, 2858. And let's have a look and see whether or not we can find which republic or which banana republic this actually is. Republic Nominees. Ah, this is lovely. Republic Nominees Limited, AC 2732, Director number 914243646, registered address Park Place, Park Street, St Peter Port. So the Parks are the people that discovered Africa, that's Mungo. They run the Park hotels, and when the Pope is kicked out of the Vatican because he's a former Nazi, then they put him in the Park Hotel in the Alba Lake region of Rome. This Republic Nominees Limited AC 2732, its address is St Peter Port. That's the religious fraud about St Peter, who will never let you through the pearly gates because he never actually existed as the launch of Christianity. He's the one who's alleged to have denied Christ existed 3 times when the cock crowed 3 times for Fox News. This company is based in Guernsey in the Channel Islands that was owned by both the Brits and the Germans in wartime. Its postcode is GY11EE. Isn't that sick? We're down to the 3rd tier of the Ponzi labels, and goodness knows where we're going to go next. My bet would be on Delaware or the Caribbean somewhere, but that is speculation, and it is rash of me to do that when I've got all of the facts at my fingertips. Let's keep going through the Ponzi shelves as we move from companies, and each time we click on directors we get another series of Ponzis. I think this is the 3rd we're in now, the Channel Islands, where the royal children were going to go, and the Barclays have lived. That's the Barclay twins for all of their lives. That's not the Barclay who bailed out after he'd given the economic lecture to Radio 4 just before Mervyn King and Peter Marks, who defrauded the Bank of England and the Co-op Bank respectively. Barclay was sent out in the London whale scandal. His employees take the fall. He leaves with a 20 million pay bonus. Okay, so what do we get below this? Under the directors for the Guernsey based company, we get another series of Ponzi scams. Yeah, they're directors for the Ponzi scams on Guernsey, and we could click on them and we might get into the Bahamas. Let's have a look. No, they stay in Guernsey, so it's cycling around like Kylie's song. Yeah, it is sick. I'm gonna stop there. This is the Bond family that run the wars, that are friends of Hitler, and Hitler is trained with the big 3, that is Stalin, FDR and Churchill, and the Aitken gets to wander around to all of the summits that they attend all around the world as they brutalise it and they kill all of the innocents. And this is the way they treat the funding of the participant nations now. All of it they steal from, and it comes straight out of the treasury using that little shit that I talked about yesterday, Norman Lamont. That's the interlock with the NN Rothschild Bank with NATO's field marshals in Dundee. And if Brian Cox is the person that we've named in these 2 videos that I've made about the Ponzi shelves involving the Deutsche Bank and Sir John Craven and all of the Fleming frauds, yeah, it is massive, and it's right under our noses, and the peelers are involved, which is why they never get taken to court. They get taken to court to get their knighthood, but there is no law enforcement that is capable of touching them or even affecting them reputationally, because they've got all of the Reuters organisations, the Thompson twins, and all of media manipulation that is Rupert Murdoch's empire at their disposal. The rest is done through the Chipping Norton set and the cover-ups of every crime in the free press. Bye bye. My mother-in-law has never left this country. She went to the Channel Islands, and my family are totally blighted by what my wife's family have done to me, and I will try and release my children from her influence in the near future. But the way things are, I am not able to access my own children because my wife has got the backing of the establishment, and this establishment is criminal and genocidal. She's worked for Egger Secretaries, she's worked for Marks and Spencers, she is trained at Ashridge College. See the videos I made yesterday? She forgot in her CV that she has trained at Ashridge College. Bye bye.